it's Heavy. Welcome back to making every Wings of Fire character into a plushie, and welcome back to the H category as this entire challenge is alphabetical. And so far we have Plushied, Albatross, Anemone, Auklet, Arctic Blaze, Blister, Burn Blue, Battle Winner, Calamity, Coral, Chameleon, Clay, Cricket, Clearsight, a Light Up Electric Eel, Cliff and Ruby, Carnelian, Dune, Dusky, Darkstalker, Slaughter Basket, every unnamed Seeming Prince, Dragon the Cat, Fatespeaker Flame, Freedom, Viper Squid, Ochre Fathom, Indigo, Blob the Octopus, all the Ice Wings named Caribou, Glory and Silver the Sloth, Groundew, Gil, Tau, Cobra Lily, Glacier, Mink, Hazel, and a random Skywing battalion. Okay, that was only kind of alphabetical, and if making yourself any of those, or any character at all, actually sounds like fun, then all my patterns are for free, and you can download them off my Patreon, which is linked in the description, and make your own. Today is another leafwing day, if the background didn't have you guessing that fact. It's Hawthorn! If you can't remember Hawthorn. Wait, can I remember Hawthorn? Yeah, okay. We've got our first no-knowledge, empty base leafwing, but we know he has green wings and green eyes and is enormous. So I'm making my own design for this. Hawthorn actually only appears in a single book, the 13th. So spoiler warnings for that book, 14 and 15 kind of, but mostly 13. And he is a crazy old man who has been banished to the furthest corner of the poison jungle by Queen Sequoia, into a grove of deadly trees, covered at every corner by equally deadly venomous snakes and dripping, positively dripping with the breath of evil. Because he's actually been sent to the jungle to find a cure to it. Because leafwings know that the breath of evil is the source of Queen Wasp's mind control ability. Or at least specifically he and the Queen know, but they're not entirely certain how it works and think it can only be controlled by her or another dragon and only by ingestion or injection into the bloodstream. Which is why they're not being super cautious here, and have no clue about the other mind. Hawthorn was actually the one who discovered the plant. He nursed it back to health when it had nearly been choked out by the poison jungle, and he presented it to Queen Sequoia as a solution to actually enslave Queen Wasp to their will whilst at a peace treaty between the Leafwings and the Hivewings. Which accidentally backfired a bit as Wasp did not listen to them at all. But having eaten the breath of evil, she slowly came into the hive mind consciousness it had. And obviously completely smashed the Leafwings in the war because she now had 100% loyalty from literally every single hivewing on the continent that she could get her claws on. Good job, idiots! And instead of taking this failed poisoning attempt onto her own shoulders, in anger, Queen Sequoia throws Hawthorn out of his life and society and forbids anyone from seeing him. For a really long time, I guess? Eventually, Sundew and friends meet with him to collect his cure to the breath of evil, which he calls the Heart of Salvation. But it's actually a total trick, and it's simply the roots of the breath of evil, which, when burned, release a smoke which induces mind control. When this is discovered, the other mind, ruler of the breath of evil, kind of, threatens to attack and kill Sundew and friends through Hawthorn's body with strong leaf speak. And it is in this moment he is killed by a wooden stake through the heart like an actual vampire. So yeah, that's why he's only in one book. He's super dead. But Hawthorn is giant and very old, at least 100 years old in fact, and he has not had friends for the most of that period of time and has gone kind of crazy. Without his knowledge, he was a part of the hive mind of the breath of evil. Although he does trick Sundew and attempt pretty hard to doom them all to the breath of evil's pawns, he's a pretty sad, miserable dragon. He had gone actually insane during his isolation and clearly did not wish to hurt anyone despite his actions. His personality had blended with the breath of evil, which he himself thought was just one of the many voices in his head. Which, you know, is never really a good sign when you can't tell the difference between the whispering consciousness of a malevolent plant creature hive mind and your own background thoughts. I'm deciding to not make his eyes blank and mind-controlled for this reason. Hawthorn acted out the breath of evil's will, even without the use of mind control, as it spoke to him and manipulated him. And much like how we didn't dock points off of Gil's score for him trying to kill Tsunami while suffering from his torture, we shall do the same to Hawthorn, and instead we shall rate him a 0.5 out of 10 for evil. The 0.5 is for attempting to poison another queen under the guise of a meeting for peace. which is a pretty underhanded thing to do, and look how it turned out. Sequoia kind of laments that during that time, it all could have gone differently if she had just tried a little harder for peace. Tried to help Wasp see goodness rather than rebuffing her with her own pride and arrogance and making Wasp feel as if she needed to defend herself. That's probably not true though. It probably isn't actually Sequoia and Hawthorn's fault that Wasp is kind of insane. She clearly wanted to attack and control everyone before they delivered the ability to do so to her literally on a platter. So no evil points added there either. More of sad points. This is another depressing character. The guild discussion was the same. But I do have non-depressing notes for Hawthorn's making and design, I guess. This is the third leafwing we've made. Freedom is not actually a leafwing. I used a lot of the same pattern pieces, but she doesn't count. I can officially say I have come around on machine applique versus hand-sewn applique for the leafwings. It's totally a matter of preference, but hand-sewn applique is a lot less crisp. Plus, I was sewing it on over the top of the plushie after I had done sewing every other piece together, leading to it being somewhat harder to hide the end of my thread, which added to a slight crinkliness in the hand applique scales. The method of doing it on the machine might take a little bit more preparation time, with each piece needing scales sewn down onto them whilst they're still flat, but I think it's totally worth it. Although you can see where some of the material has been snipped down when trimming off the seam allowance, and it's up to you if you like the look of that or not. Oh, also if you want to know more about applique or how to do it, and if this is a new concept for you, first of all, it's just layering fabric over a base layer, and you would do it to attach the eyes or nightwing scales to a plushie normally, so it's not as complicated as it sounds. But also, I have a tutorial on making Eevee and all of its evolutions, and those actually are all applique, with the machine. There's lots of it, and I talk about how I set it up. So it might be a good tutorial. The Leafeon is even a bit similar. But for this video, I'll simply say I like both techniques. Also, I sew down little veins on the wings of the leafwing to make it more leaf-like. And on the inner side, I use fabric paint to accentuate the sewn down lines. I also do this on the tip of the tail flippy. These are green, but the rest of Hawthorn's body I made brown. As I mentioned with Hazel, leafwings are canonically brown, but I've decided to make his entire body brown except for his wings, as per the description. Photosynthesis actually does and can occur in the bark of trees, not just the leaves, but it's got kind of specific requirements to happen, and in most trees, brown bark is actually made up of sclerenchyma cells, which, as you can see by my helpful diagram, have these hugely thick cell walls when they are fully mature. Because of the largely passive forces which allow transfer of waste gases across the surface of living cells, transpiration can no longer occur between these thick cell walls and the inner membrane. So they shrivel up and die by design, becoming crenated and plasmolized, losing connection to the cell wall. This is ordered to protect the plant with a thick coat. Yeah, so, no photosynthesis happening in those, but we're ignoring that. I already explained how it kind of nearly not quite a little bit makes no sense why the leafwings can photosynthesize at all. Because animal cells and plant cells began to evolutionarily differentiate at a time when being a eukaryotic was the hot new thing on planet Earth. And as such, they don't share that much of their genetic code, therefore not allowing animal cells to make or regulate their own chloroplasts. So he's brown because I wanted him to be. With spots of green he can do all his photosynthesizing in. I don't know why I'm being so picky here, honestly. And although his body may be done, our Hawthorn video is not finished, because guess what? We need those Dragonbite vipers. Yep, time for a nice fetching scarf for your man here. Hawthorn uses these as his personal guards as he lives in a place called the Den of Vipers. They're all kind of mind-controlled, but we're ignoring that. Dragonbite vipers do have a canonical design now, but I had always imagined them as bright fluorescent warning sign yellow. Many vipers are outlandish colours because nature gave them extremely deadly venom, so they want to warn as many predators as possible. And Sundew sees them, describing them as green and brown and gold, and evidently they have pretty variable colours, just like real-life eyelash vipers, which is kind of how I picture them, because the graphic novel makes them blue. So that is how I will make them, and also, it makes the snake pet look a lot like my snake pet, Circus. I have a lot of snakes. Me and Hawthorn are pretty simpatico on that. So now, I'll show you how you can make your own super deadly dangerous viper. This pattern will be up for free as well as all of my other patterns, so you can download them from the link in the description. To start off, we trace out all the pieces, and if you want your viper to have an open mouth, then copy out this line in the middle of the head. Then snip the line without cutting to the edge of the headpiece. We're going to trace out an inside mouthpiece as well, and some teeth. I make these out of felt because it's super easy to use. I sew the front of the inner mouthpiece to the upper jaw, starting in the middle, and then work up to the corners of the lips. Where you feel is right, insert one fang, and sew it into the head like it's cheese in a sandwich. The point of this fang should feel like it's going the wrong way, but this is because you should be sewing inside out in order to hide your stitches. Then keep following along the line of the jaw until you come to the other side, where you insert the second fang in line with the first and sew back up to the nose. Great, we have made an openable mouth. I freehand a forked tongue out of felt, but I leave it for now because it's time to insert the chin piece. Sew from the point of the chin down to the back of the bottom jaw on each side, one at a time, and then get ready to insert the forehead piece. Sew starting from the middle of the nose, all the way back on both sides. There will be fabric hanging off at the back. This is a precaution to make sure it aligns. Snip off all the excess and turn the head right side out. Stuff it how you'd prefer, and then close the back of the skull and prepare some eyes. I left the pupils blank for cuteness and boogle-eyed staring like a mind-controlled viper. I also thread sculpt the nose and snout at this point to pinch the eyes together and define the bridge of the nose. And then I open the mouth and sew in our tongue. Then we're ready for the body, which thankfully is extremely easy with no arms and legs. Just sew around the shape, leaving the neck open so you can invert the body. Then I cut some flexible wire and curled the ends over and fed it into the plush. I stuff the body around the wire and I leave a little bit sticking out of the neck. That's so you can jam the head over the wire and sew the neck hole closed. Once that's done, your Dragonbite Viper is ready. Also, I know I have talked about this before, but snakes are my favorite animal. Reptiles in general are my favorites, and dragons are reptiles, in a contrived way at least, because birds are also reptiles, and they're endothermic, and the taxonomic argument is a nightmare, especially since it's fantastical creatures, but I'll get to that at a later date. Be prepared for angry ranting later. Snakes get a bad rap in the world because lots of animal lovers only like the small fluffy ones and aren't prepared to deal with people with different opinions of cute, I guess. Starflight mentions that Dragonbite Vipers are super duper rare in the Wings of Fire universe, but then he considers that might be because they're hunted systematically to the verge of extinction in most places. And let me say, as an Australian guy who enjoys roaming the forest at night alone and grabbing everything that slithers and bites, super deadly venomous snakes are just something that you have to deal with in order to be alive. I mean, I had the world's second most deadly venomous snake in my actual living room not that long ago, and I had to put it in a rice container and take it out into the forest. But I've never been bitten. Super deadly dangerous things deserve respect. We as humans cut down a forest and built a building where this snake's great-great ancestors lived. With this attitude, it's no wonder all the tigers and lions and sharks and super deadly dangerous things are dying off in droves. Snakes never attack unless provoked, and they never attack to kill something they don't think they can eat. And it would be unreasonable that they think of dragons as prey. A dragon is the most similar to a snake or lizard, and yet these animals are treated pretty badly by the plot. Instead, dragons of this story think they're creepy. You can't possibly say a snake is creepy, but you, a dragon, looking in a mirror is not. Sonny, I am talking to you. You have a long serpentine face, many of you have forked tongues, and you are covered in scales. I wonder if they think snakes are creepy because of the same reasons some people think monkeys are creepy, because they look like and often behave a lot like people. Anyways, people who think snakes are out to get them are just uneducated and don't realize it. It's like they're a toddler pulling on a cat's tail and being shocked it clawed you with the claws it was born with. So yeah, here you go, my cricket plushie. I'm tasking you with making a nature preserve for Dragonbite Vipers at the old side of the poison jungle where they can live undisturbed and be happy in my headcanon. You probably don't have to do very much, just put up some signs or something. The leafwings definitely don't want to live there anymore. Oh, but before I finish, let's make Hawthorn's egg. Because unfortunately, the fact that he talks to a wooden egg like it's his buddy is kind of a noteworthy characteristic, even though I really didn't want to do it. So the egg in canon is a piece of honey-coloured wood which Hawthorn has carved in order to cope with his loneliness. This is actually made of the other half of the wood block I sawed in half to make my little blob the octopus, who came out as Septopus, but we don't talk about that. And It's just an egg. It's hard to carve because it's tiny and round and keeps trying to escape, and that's why it looks like a poorly peeled potato, but you get what you get. I painted some leafy patterns on the top as per its description in the books, and shoved that into his claws. That took way longer than you think it did. There we go! He's done. And so are all of his accessories. 2 Dragonbite vipers and a dumb egg. I will leave these on the list just in case anyone wants a petting zoo worth of deadly vipers. Because the vipers are actually pretty fun to make. Maybe the burn plushie needs some too. Anyways, Hawthorn might not be green, but he's our first big leafwing, and in my opinion, a very cute design. If something of a miserable character who talks to an egg. Anyways, I enjoyed making a brown leafwing so he can distinguish himself, but I have distinctly overthought the photosynthetic dragon problem because literal actual magic is a thing in the Wings of Fire universe. I don't even know why I bothered. But in light of this, and on my rant about the number of dragons who are the colour green in the last video, it is time to torture Whirlpool. The votes from my Whirlpool Hate Club members, the most generous tier on my Patreon, have come in overwhelmingly for having him be bitten by Dragonbite vipers. So thank you to Ninja Kitty Awakens, Phoenix Fire, the Wait Zaranek Fluffle, That Dragon Toon Fuzz, Danielle Oliver, and Bird Yegling for submitting Whirlpool to eternal torture. And now Hawthorn's done and going up on the shelf. There's a lot of large-sized dragons in recent times, despite not getting a single one between finishing Darkstalker and making Grandeur. Although I guess he was a big exception. We're not entirely done with this video, as we have a Skywing soldier I accidentally forgot for the collab video. Man, General Maelstrom is gonna beat me when she finds out. But here's Cardinal, made by Space Pigeon 11.
Hello, meet Cardinal. He's a 7-year-old Skywing with a potential Nightwing ancestor. Due to his suspected hybrid bloodline, the old general wouldn't allow him to join the Skywing army. He grew up on the outskirts of the Sky Kingdom, in a small town close to the Sand Kingdom. Due to being so close, many fights would break out between the Sandwings and Skywings. One day, his town got attacked. He proved himself to the world by protecting those he loved most, keeping an entire school of young dragonets from being harmed in the battle. During the fight, one of the Sandwing attempted to blind him by clawing out his eye, leaving a large scar across his face. This impressed the new general, and with his loyalty proven, he entered the battalion. He fought bravely against whatever foes he was put against, using his darker palette to blend into the ground and sneak up. However, during a fight with an Icewing troop, tragedy struck. While trying to escape the grasp of the Icewing, she managed to rip off his leg cover and completely burn off his leg with a frost blast. He lied in the dirt until the end of the battle, playing dead, but miraculously surviving. A prosthetic was made, however he was unable to fight for a long time. He was placed into the logistics team of the battalion, cleverly planning the attacks and making sure there were enough resources for the entire troop's survival.
The ghost of Maelstrom haunts my mind. It's like I can almost hear her approaching. You didn't think you were free of me forever, did you? What? How? Well, now that nightmare is probably over and done with, at least. Here's a Speedpaint warning. Thank you to Space Pigeon 11, sorry I missed your dragon, and thank you to the rest of you, my viewers, for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. It makes a world of difference, and it really means a lot to me. Thank you for watching until the end. And here's a shout out to my beloved Patreon members. Your wet sloppy dragon kiss is brought to you by Dragonbite Vipers today. It's close enough.
Mwah.
Kimber, ADH Dream 1409, Kit, Monodeer, Aninkula Masson, Grey, Phoenix Fire, I Like the Dumb Bunny Shrimp, Fennec is Here, Poppy Willow, Indigo, Woyleys, Fantasy, The Starving Child, Ninja Kitty Awakens, Caroline T, I Love My Fuzzy Kitten, Vanessa and Anara Burrows, Verla, Rhythm the Raptor, Aliana, Miffy, Victoria Toucan, Racing Wolf, Grey Malkin, Gato Catamoose, D. Wait Zaranek Fluffle, Anonymous Running Dragon, Danger Noodles Are Cool, Erin Donahue, Carol, Silly Rabbit 87, The Fairest Rubber Duck, Celeste Tazza, Gordon Young, Stuffed Tails Fursuits, Connie, Nix, Hazel Williams, Keegan Evans, Quinn, Crafty6809, Alex Allen, The Christmas Lady, Acariel, Bird Yegling, The Creature's Burrow, Danielle Oliver, Kayla Hedrick, Audrina Bailey, Meshtail, Salami, Moth, Danny, Catbrain, Lots of Pizza, Elaine Spivey, Totally Not Tired, Tea Party, Aspen, Cozy Wozy, Nika Fadasi, What's My Name, Me Here, Tommy, Copa, Arcaron, Beef Stew, That Dragon Toon Fuzz, Sabretooth, and Peter and Lee Studios.